What is some of the characters that you're excited to voice in this game?
Well, I voiced Freddy Fazbear, which is really exciting because it's the first time that I've been able to canonically bring my voice to the original. So I'm grateful for Funko Fusion giving me that. And I'm also Foxy as a little bit, sort of, because I was in the FNAF movie doing the diddly dums. They're like, why don't you do them too? I'm like, okay.
So, what are some of the things you're excited for Five Nights at Freddy's fans to see in the game or to play through in the game?
In Funko Fusion?
Yes.
Man, I have not seen as many builds as the devs have, but I am really excited that you get to go through the original Pizzaplex, kind of a perfect copy of it from what I've seen. And there's just a lot of cool weapons inspired by the characters, like Freddy's pizza oven gun and Foxy's pirate cannon. It's a lot of fun.
So just to finish up with the last question here, what's a character that you voiced or a character that you would like to voice in a Funko Fusion game or maybe a future Funko Fusion game?
Ooh, interesting. I would love for Valorant to come to like Riot properties, because I voiced Fiddlesticks in League of Legends and Wingman in Valorant, so it would be so fun to get to be the little guy again, but in pop form.
We're here with Arthur Parsons, the co-founder and design director for Funko Fusion, and we're just here to ask you one really quick, how did this get together? How did you get this game going?
Wow, that's like, for one simple question, it's a really big answer. Like literally, I used to work at a company that made Lego games, and like I left there, and then all of a sudden my old boss phoned me up and said, do you want to do something new? Do you want to do something exciting? And I was like, okay, what is it? And he said, do you want to make games with Funko? And I was like, hell yeah. Like why would I say no? Because I'm a big pop collector. And then we just started that journey, like a 3-year journey to where we are now, which has been exciting. And obviously, if you look at Funko Fusion, the game, it's like we are fans. We are fans of everything we do, and that's how the game's come to be. It's been a very amazing 3 years that's evaporated in absolutely no time at all.
So just some rapid fire here. What's one level that you're really excited for people to be able to play through?
One level I'm excited for people to play through would definitely be the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe level, because it's very close to my heart. You're going to go to Eternia, you're going to go to Castle Grayskull, you're going to go to Snake Mountain, you're going to see some really cool hidden stuff. Masters of the Universe.
And what is your favorite pop in the game?
Oh, my favorite pop that's in the game? Like, I want to say Orko so badly because I love He-Man, but I need to say something else. So I think my favorite pop that's in the game, it's probably going to be the Shaun of the Dead infected version where he's a zombie.
#show. We're talking to Jason Bischoff, the VP of Licensing and Business Development for Funko.
Wow, what a mouthful.
It really. So start off with just give us a little bit of the background on how this came to be. Obviously, Funko is known for the massive variety of properties that they work with. Why was Universal such a great partner to partner with on Funko Fusion?
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity. First and foremost, I would start with, how did this come to be? It's really not that complicated, which is John Burton, who had basically almost a lifetime's worth of successes. He's a 5-time BAFTA award winner, having worked on a wealth of games before he ever knocked on my door. Basically, John was a fan, is a fan. His team, specifically Arthur Parsons and Paul Flanagan of 1010 Games, basically they were fans first, right? They had worked on some of the biggest games in the world, some of the best-selling games in the world, and they decided, you know what, how do we do it again, but bigger, badder, cooler, older, co-op, and ultimately Funko stylized, pop stylized, right? So it really started with them. They had the vision. Independent of that, it was really no more complicated than a random DM on LinkedIn, of all things. So John reached out to me. I did a little bit of digging into his background, and it was very obvious right out the gate that we were dealing with really a dominant player, and how could we at least not have the conversation, since I can say over the last 3 years it has affirmed everything that we originally believed to be possible with this new relationship. It's fun and it's open, and the team is so wildly talented, and here we are 3 years later with the fruit of our fruit of our efforts.
So one thing that struck me about especially the footage that we saw at the panel today with some of the Invincible footage, stuff like that, was that obviously Funko, they're fun, they're age appropriate, they're everything, but there's a little bit of blood, there's a little bit of violence in the game. Is that something that you guys were trying to go for? Is a more mature-ish kind of vibe, or how did that come about?
Our vision was always something, roughly speaking, T for teen or PEGI 12, depending on where you live. And the reason for that is, look, there are other studios making cute games, safe games. We wanted to do something, again, cooler, older, bigger, badder, co-op, right? And so that's ultimately where we're at. That was the nucleus of the idea. It feels like so many players, they get into the action platformer genre. They're there for a good long while, and then they just kind of age out of it. And frankly, I think that was an opportunity for us, right? We just saw it as good, tried and true gameplay. It speaks to a very broad demographic, but on the same token, we wanted to give folks a platform to age into something, right? Now, that's a little highfalutin, but the reality is, it really was a consideration on our part when we were just starting the initial design documents. Independent of that, it also gave us a really awesome platform to bring in all sorts of properties that folks have never experienced in video games, nonetheless in an action platformer. So, there hasn't been a Thing game in like 20, 25 years, right? There's never been a Shaun of the Dead game. I don't know how that happened, but we were happy to be the first foray into that interactive space. So, it's a little bit of like strategy, and it's definitely a whole lot of bit of what cool properties could we unlock if we just leaned a little bit older. Now, to be clear, we're not saying no to the properties that everybody loves. So a Jurassic World or a Back to the Future, which is a personal favorite of mine. But we are finding ways to make sure that those things still play nicely in a fused format with things like The Walking Dead, right? It's just hyper exciting, and Funko is nothing if not about celebrating fandom and giving everybody the chance to collect what they love and build the neighborhood of their dreams. And I think you're going to see something very similar in this title.
So finally, I'm a huge horror movie fan. I love the fact that we're getting The Thing, we're getting Nope, we're getting Us, all of the Jordan Peele movies in this game. Is there opportunity for other horror movie franchises or anything to sort of enter the Funko Fusion universe in the future?
I would say to stalwart fans, we want to hear from you, right? Somebody pointed out to me this morning, I did not actually know this, that our game is launching on Friday the 13th. And maybe that's an opportunity. So it sounds like I've got some calls to make this weekend.
This is John Melchior, the executive producer from Universal, and we're here to talk about Funko Fusion. So to start off, just kind of basic, how did this come about? How did you guys get involved with Funko for this game?
Early on, I think 1010, John Burton called Universal, had the idea about making a game with using Funko, and we were excited from the start.
So there's a lot of Universal projects in this game. Were there any sort of gates that you guys put on, like, oh, you can use this property, or you can't use this property, or was it just kind of open season for 1010 games?
It was open season to see what worked best for the game that they're making and the style in which they're making it in. I think each of the IPs have their own kind of brand guidelines and brand rules, and we kind of went out to the stakeholders and the filmmakers to talk about which ones would be the best fit for the kind of game they're making.
So, final question. Were there anything that you guys were worried about? Because obviously Funko is a brand for all types of people, but this might be seen as more of a children's game or something like that. Were you guys worried about them, taking on The Thing or Shaun of the Dead or some things that are more violent in this game?
No, we felt pretty strongly that Funko as an IP and pop culture aged up a little bit, and some of the IPs that they chose were aged up a little bit, so all kind of just fit in. And I feel like they were trying to make a more adult game, and we were supportive of that.